Everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Okay, Mayor Webster.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Don.
Yes.
Bolton.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
And Councilor Moore will be absent.
Okay, public forum. Make sure you tell us who you are.
I'm Pat Shug, and this is my next door neighbor, Joanne Peters, and everybody knows where I live. And we have both had problems forever with water coming into our basements. I've had it upstairs. The mayor knows. I had it like foot deep inside my family room. And this was before anything was built across the street from me. Now, I had a carpenter there today from Brita, and he took one of the windows out of my basement. I already had him do another one last year to try to help with the water situation. And he came in the house after he was done, and he said, you know, if you get any substantial rain over a half an inch, you're gonna get water way up from the shelves, or Beckman's shelves up there. And now that Leonard's house is there, and then the new one coming up across the street from me, that water, they're way up in the hill, and that water's all gonna come downhill.
All the drainage from Weaselville is coming into her basement.
Put you up on mute, not mute, man.
Go ahead.
And he just said, you're gonna have a big problem. It's gonna be worse than what you ever had before when it stopped was there and it was just grass over there. And it's not these people's fault. It's the builder or getting the building permit approved or whatever.
I've talked to some of you, I guess, but I guess it's nice to talk to all of you. It is a big problem, and I had rock that has washed out already. I get the grass seed that we had to round up in my rocks. I do get water in my basement. I did take 4 of the windows out of the basement. I just know that we're going to have some kind of drainage over there. Either like a retention pond that you've done on Horseshoe Drive, or the one down by Dixieland Trailer Park. You're going to have to put something in there. It's going to wash everything out. Driveways, and I mean, I know they have these permits that they have to get okayed, and it says right on there, you're changing the water, or they are changing the water, all of them are. So something needs to be done. Sooner the better.
Is we still get draft
If it's, needs to meet certain criteria, please.
But there's so much stuff buried across where they need to put a swale. We can't do that.
We're gonna have to do something. It's our problem and we have to fix it. So whether there's electrical there or whatever, we can't just say we can't do it.
And I'm at a loss. I've been bringing it up for over a year.
That's
I
not
know
enough.
you have.
Nobody's
I've
paying attention.
talked to John, I've talked to Vicky, I've talked to Scott. That's why I thought I'd better come and talk to everybody, I guess.
I think it's
And I don't know if you can just put drains in there and drain it to the sewer, the sanitary sewer, or the storm sewer that's there on the edge of Horseshoe Drive or something.
We gotta take more dirt out than we've been doing.
Yes,
So far, we just skimmed it around.
yeah, that's not gonna do it. They didn't do it the last spring.
And we haven't had a big one.
No, we haven't had a big one.
Now, if we don't get anything done in the next 2 weeks, I expect you back here at the next council meeting.
All right,
Okay, we'll be here.
we are gonna look.
thank you.
Hopefully harder than we have.
All right, thanks a lot.
Okay, consent agenda, motion to approve?
Oh, wait, Mayor. Marlon's here for a public forum too.
Oh,
Good evening, I'm Marlon Johnson. And I'm sure there are other residents in the city of Lakeview that need your help. We are expected to maintain and repair the sidewalks that are in the city right away. And the cost of concrete and the materials needed are going out of sight. Would the city consider a program where you would help to offset the cost? I'm not asking for you to pay it all. Even to pay half of it would make putting the sidewalks, replacing sidewalks a lot more feasible. Instead of the way it is now, you could base it on income, the eligibility for any kind of grant. Is there any kind of grant money out there we could get our hands on? To be honest, guys, it would be more feasible for me right now to tear the concrete up, put black dirt in and grass seed it, than it is to put it back in concrete.
I think there's one that says you can't do that, isn't there?
There is, but we haven't been very good about enforcing it.
Half the
and-
town doesn't have sidewalks now. We
Yeah.
talked about this years ago.
And we have kind of mentioned that a program would be nice, to have some kind of an incentive,
I mean, guys, it's outrageous right now for concrete. Like I said, I'm not asking you, I do know we've done sidewalk, or you guys have done sidewalk for people for nothing. But I'm not asking you to do it for nothing. I'm just asking you, even if you paid half of it, would make it more feasible for me to put concrete in.
The sidewalk we've done is to encourage people to go from the lake uptown, it wasn't because of it.
Yeah, but I'm just south of the grocery store myself, where I'm right across the street from the library, I'm across the street from the Methodist Church. I mean, there's a lot of people use my sidewalk too.
Well, I'm just saying that we did that because of the lake and try to encourage them to use the downtown businesses. We realize the cement's high price, but we haven't got control of that.
I think we should look at a program and maybe see what grants are available, if there's any. I know Wall Lake has a program, they have a sidewalk incentive program. I don't think they pay, but, they offer something. I'm not sure what their program is, but we have talked about this, just not in depth.
Would you like to be on the committee if we start something down the road before budget?
I've been on a lot of committees, I can do it. I ain't afraid to be on a committee.
A lot of times it's finding the facts and.
I think about how few housing projects where they took out the sidewalk and then replaced
Based on
them.
that, you're not.
We have that problem.
Well, I'd like you guys to consider it, so thank you very much.
Okay, Mark, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion in a second.
Roll call.
Holman,
Yes.
Stankin,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Okay, we have the permit for Neil Zigman for the closed porch. It's all met all the criteria.
That is approved.
Motion to approve. Second. Roll call.
Holman, Tom,
Yes.
Stankin,
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Okay, we have fence permit.
That is approved, Eric Hassling.
Motion to approve.
I'll make it.
Second.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Thank you.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Holman, Tom.
Yes.
Okay, American Legion must be here.
Yep.
I'm Gary A. Scheid. I'm a resident here in Lakeview, and I'm also a member of the American Legion here in town. And most of you know it was roughly 3 or 4 years ago when we built the new Lakeview Memorial. And little did we know at that time that the last administration was going to develop a Space Force, adding to the 6 branches that we already have. I handed out a picture to each of you, just to kind of give you a visual of what we're talking about here. So we put together a committee at the Legion, and we went down there and looked at it. The most logical place to add the 7th flagpole on the concrete is the drawing that I showed. You can kind of see, you're standing there, the playground would be behind you. So you're looking at the memorial, you see the lake in the background back there. So the 7th pole would be centered right in between the 2 poles you see in the picture to the left and the right. and then adding a small wing, 3 foot by 3 foot, or maybe even 2 foot by 2 foot would get it for a handicap. A wheelchair will fit through there without the wing, but I think it would be probably for the cost not being that much to go ahead and add the wing to make sure it would improve the handicap accessibility from the playground side to the memorial. We're anticipating 2,000, maybe 2,500 total, counting the concrete and the flag stacks. I don't remember, Mr. Mayor, when we bought those the last time, they were 1,200, 1,300 a piece, weren't they?
I think they're 12 or 1,500 bucks a piece.
So I'm sure like everything else, that's gone up. And then a little bit of concrete there, probably 4 inches thick would be plenty, but the city can decide that, what meets the codes there. So I guess I'm throwing this out to the city's attention that we should consider adding that 7th flagpole. And that's not where the Space Force flag would go. Everything would rotate, so it would be the newest addition, and I probably don't need to get into that, but as you all recall, we've got them as the years that they were indoctrinated into the United States. So Space Force obviously being the new one would be the flag staff that's back to the rear there to the left. But it would have nothing to do with the MIA POW flag or the United States or the Iowa flag. So we also thought we would go ahead and do this next Memorial Weekend, initiate this and add it to the program. By the time we get it all done and everything, you know, and then just add that to the Memorial Day celebration. Down there, and hopefully we have good weather again.
What about the medallion that every branch has?
That's the challenge. That's something that we never come to an agreement on that. To be honest with you, Mr. Mayor, I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if there's one that's developed yet. Which will be in our favor again if we wait till next Memorial to initiate the flagpole and that. If there's a medallion that comes out, it's going to have to be doubled with the next to the last flag going around to the left.
I did a survey today. None out of 10 knew what the Space Force was. Never heard of it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely against interfering with anything that we've done in the past. This isn't so bad, but I think we ought to wait 3 or 4 years before people know what the hell's going on. Where's the funding going to come from? Legion going to raise the money?
Well, as you know, the funding for this was all from voluntary funds.
Yeah.
So I guess we were kind of hoping that the city would be willing to pay for it.
I'm not. I think you ought to wait 3 or 4 years before people know what's going on. But that's just my thought. I'm not near as upset about it as I thought I would be. The picture's a little better, but I still don't like messing with that, because you know how much work it was to get there. It was a lot of work for several people. So I see it moved around.
It's just that I don't know that a lot of people even know about it. Quite frankly, I didn't think it had passed, you know, I didn't realize that he actually had that authority. I mean, I knew he threw it out there and I just kind of like,
Yeah, no, the commander's been established and they're enlisting into that organization now, so. You know, that's obviously your guys' call if you want to wait. There'll be probably a point in time, there's other counties that have already initiated it, but we'll probably get a letter in the mail and they'll say to all the Legion, hey, get this identified next, so.
Right.
I just thought we could move forward.
Can we give, the public a little bit of background on the Space Force, since some people haven't, don't know what it is. As of today, it has 4,840 personnel and 13,590 assigned United States Air Force personnel. It's part of the United States Armed Forces, Department of the Air Force. It's kind of a subsidiary of the Department of the Air Force, headquarters out of the Pentagon. Let's see, has a lot of the equipment that every past president has talked about when there's a nuclear strike, and being able to use satellites to knock those things down. This branch is in charge of all of that stuff, surveillance. They've been in 2 engagements, global war on terrorism and 2020 Iranian missile strike on Al-Assad Air Base.
And that's what we know about.
And that's what we know about.
I think they don't have a lot of funding yet, and I think they do plan to increase the funding, was what I understood today when I kind of looked it up.
Yeah.
Well, this has to be brought to the park board anyway to start with. But I think some costs would be, before we do anything, find out what it's really gonna cost. Jeff, can you cut a hole through cement like that? It has to be a big cutout square, don't it?
Yeah, or I don't know if you can find a big enough, tile plant's got them big
Big cutters.
cut, more like a hole saw, but
Do we know where the electric lines are underneath there?
I could get you close.
From my perspective, I'd like to see some costs and community funding, and I'd still like to wait a while. That's up to the council, of course.
Well, I think we need to, it's a park board thing.
Yeah, they need to be involved. Does that seem fair?
But
Oh, absolutely, I just wanted to bring it up. I mean, whatever happens, happens, so.
I think personally that it's part of the armed forces. And it's new. And, whether it's gonna stay a part of the armed forces or not, with the current administration, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna imagine that it will.
Yeah, there was some discussion even flying it with another flag staff, but that would, then that right away was disrespectful to the
Yeah.
branch itself, so if you're gonna do it, you need to do it right. So, all right, thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Okay, ordinance 513, that's the code. Ordinance for the city of Lakeview amending provisions for pertaining to parking. Right?
You bet, yes. This ordinance would implement a no parking zone. We sent out notice to all of the folks who live on Horseshoe Drive that said that this was occurring at this meeting. We'd have a discussion, and they were certainly welcome to come give opinion. And I know a couple of them are here. I tell you, I've heard from the folks who initiated this idea. They were certainly in favor of it. And then Hemmingers down there at the corner were in favor of the no parking zone, but they just wanted to make sure that it was on the house side. Okay, and then the other comment that I got actually came from Dan Bruscher, our cop, that if you would want a no parking zone there, remember that the driveways and the mailboxes are on the house side, and then you can't park where there's mailboxes. So if you were going to consider this, the house side would look to be probably the best choice.
But if we have some input from the citizens, that'd be good.
I live at the bottom of Horseshoe Drive at 126 Crescent Park Drive. And Memorial Day weekend, I had a really good experience of parking all around. I had people parking on the outside, right to the edge of my driveway, and then in front of the mailbox all the way to the corner. And then a lady in a big white Suburban parked directly across from my driveway. I couldn't have gotten out if I had hit her, it would have been my fault. And my son-in-law pointed it out that there's no way on earth an emergency vehicle could get into the Horseshoe Drive if people park like they do. So my suggestion is that there should be no parking signs on the inside of the Horseshoe, no blocking driveways or mailboxes, that's a given, and they should park an appropriate distance from the corner, because it's hard to see if you want to get out or in. I can drive across my yard, but not everybody has that luxury. Most people are very considerate but not everybody. So that's just my spiel. And
So
that's all.
do you have a problem with the no parking being on the inside? Or on the outside, I mean? And the
On the
parking allowed
outside?
on the inside? That's been suggested by other residents?
I think if you're gonna park, do no parking, it should be on the inside and let people park on the outside.
But that's where your driveways and your mailboxes are gonna be.
Yeah, I don't really care, but the only problem is if you're parking on the inside, people are gonna be trying to back out of their driveways, and that road is not, that street's not a wide street. So,
So how often do you think this happens?
every weekend during the
weekend?
summer. And during special events, it's worse. And, you know, I know when there's been construction and stuff, vehicles have been parked right across the street from my house. You know, and my husband was at home, still here. He would watch all the stuff going on out of our bay window. And it was really disgusting to him to have to look through all the vehicles. So just had to add that. But anyway, I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that the building next to me, they don't park, they park pretty close to the edges of that. The driveway is usually fairly clear. But if I drive my big pickup out, I'd probably run into somebody, unfortunately. So I can't do that. But that's all I have to offer. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Thanks, George.
Mark, you have anything?
Be glad to share my thoughts. There are 10 driveways around the horseshoe. Most of them double wide, so you're looking at 20 feet. The street is 26 feet wide. 10 buildings with those driveways. So my thought would be that, and I understand the issue here, backing out, if you're allowed to park on the inside, that hopefully the people that are parking would respect the driveway that they're parking across from. But if with 10 driveways around that horseshoe, it doesn't leave much for parking at all for those that need to park. Yeah. I'm thinking on the east side of the horseshoe, you wouldn't get a car between my driveway and the driveway to the south. You could get maybe 2 vehicles from the south driveway of mine to the next one, the first house in.
Can I ask a question on the parking? Is most of the parking down by the street and not at the top of the horseshoe? Is it
like
it's everywhere? Everywhere?
It's everywhere.
All the way around?
Yeah, for the most part, on the weekends, it's all the way around. I'm not there all the time, so.
And those that are parking there are not the homeowners or anything like that?
No.
Campers?
Campers, visitors.
Campus visitors.
But if you got people on both sides of the street, there's no way in heck an ambulance is gonna get up there.
No.
So I'm interested in this, no parking on the outside and parking on the inside. So is that feasible, Brandon? Is there enough room? If you're gonna if you're gonna back out of your driveway, I understand you have to be careful, but if you have nothing parked, you know, right beside your driveway, you can turn sooner, I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I get what you're saying, I totally understand. But I honestly, I think that the no parking should be on the mailbox on the house side. I can see I can foresee so many issues of cars wanting to park, and then we're gonna come up with the issue, that car is parking halfway, covering half my driveway, now I can get out of the driveway, or they can get to the mailbox or something like that. I foresee that issue, because we're already cutting the parking in half, and now we're moving it all to one side, that holds the least amount of cars. I think it's just gonna turn into a nightmare. I think we need to have no parking there because obviously for safety, get ambulance in
I'm
there.
confused, are you in favor of the outside being no parking? Does the driveway side is no parking, is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
driveway side, no parking. We get-
Well, it's not that, if you do something, you can't change it, it's just confusing.
Is there an alternative to other parking around the campground?
The parking lot, museum parking lot, it's too full. It's not enough.
How many cars would fit up there on the locomotive?
Well, if you were on the,
Weekend, if you took away parking on one side.
if you allowed the inside, you've got the whole circle to park.
30? Well, I'm thinking 50 each side.
Yeah.
I would say, but I mean, if you, but like you guys, you stated, if you have on both sides, then it's gonna be really darn hard to get an ambulance through there, or fire department through there, it's gonna be tough.
Can I add something?
Yes.
The vehicles we drive now, my pickup is a big truck, and so is everyone else's. So you park across the street from my driveway, I'm gonna get you, because I can't hear.
Well, I'm also thinking that we should have no parking X amount of feet from the corner, like we do in some streets.
We can sign it off. I'll have to look, I'd have to go out there and look at every lot to see how we could do that, but, I mean, we could do something for a certain amount of feet from corner or something like that. I'd have to take a look at it, but I think the overall, I think the parking, the no parking should be on the driveway side.
Right.
But I understand what you're saying, because you get a big truck and you're trying to back one of those things out, it's not very far.
I'm thinking about backing my car out with the big trucks across the
Well,
street.
yeah, either way, I mean, it's, even if you have a big truck or if you have a small car, I understand what you're
It's
saying.
just like everybody else's pickup, but it's not.
Yeah, let me take a look at it this week, and I'll see if I can come up with a better solution.
I'll plan to see, I'm sitting there with all the different driveways. I'll leave less vehicles to park up there if we make the inside, where they can park on the inside. Because everybody's gotta respect their driveway, so there's only gonna be so many up there. And that still gives you an opportunity as a resident to back out clean, other than if there's a vehicle there that you can't see, but I'm just saying, you should be able to do that. I think that'll eliminate your driveways will eliminate more cars that way, if you have them parked on that side. So it's up to how many cars you wanna put in there.
You're gonna get about 3 cars on the east side, and that's it. 2 on the, I don't see that as an issue.
What if you have family coming in and they have to park there? Is everybody gonna get their park?
If there's no parking, there's no parking, I mean, it can't be, yeah.
Well, that's another
It's
thing, see your
kind of a one
family.
nothing deal.
Get
Chief.
parked there.
Chief, how much trouble would it be to do a study on the people that do park there on the weekend? Can you check their license, see where they're from, county?
Yeah. Yeah, we could see if they're coming from the campground, or if they're coming from some friends, or family there, we could do that.
We have a huge parking problem in the campground too. I mean, we have a huge parking problem everywhere.
That's a good problem.
Yeah, that's a great thing.
It is,
Manage it.
and trying to find ground to create
Yeah,
parking.
once we get one parking area, it's gonna start overflowing another one. But I think with this one, this area turns into an emergency hazard for.
Right. Obviously, there has to be no parking.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure.
We'll figure it out. Give me this week, let me look at it this week. I'll go through it tomorrow, actually. I'll take a look and see what I think the best option is, and I'll think it's got a few with me, and we'll go up there.
Good.
Could more of the museum area be put into parking?
They don't have any sign that says you can't park there, I don't know why they just don't drive over.
It's always full on Carnival weekend.
Carnival, yeah.
On the grass
But
too.
maybe we should talk to the historical, maybe designate it more, if people knew.
Yeah, if they knew that this was a designated area for overflow from the campground.
Another option would maybe be no parking at all on the horseshoe because that might be an option to consider. I know all the campers come and my windows are shut all
Just
summer
know that when
because
your
of the
family
snow.
comes, they won't be able to park there either. I mean, they either fit in your driveway or they don't park.
Well, I've got 3 driveways, so I really don't.
You do, but I mean, not everybody does. I mean, I'm just saying, you know.
Well, but we have lawns that they can drive on if they absolutely have to.
Can they do the signs like they do, not the permanent signs, just the signs like on Water Carnival, they do no parking on some of the main streets or whatever?
Well, let me take a look at it. I'm gonna have to relook at everything, and I'll come up with a better solution for
There,
everybody.
you can already tell, we're not gonna make everybody happy. so-
No, I know, but I wanna be, I'll do it so I can see the most cars there possible without causing the least amount of hassle for everybody.
Okay, thank
You know,
you.
most of the people that come and park their cars are nice people. I can't complain about that. But my concern is if the ambulance or the fire truck had to come in, even with cars parked on the inside, it would be very tight space. So fire truck, yeah.
Like you got a mission there, Rick.
So I plan on this, I think this will be on the agenda again in 2 weeks, and you're certainly welcome to come back and have a read.
Hopefully it's done though before Water Carnival.
We have a tough time with that.
Can't
You
do
know,
that fast.
But
At water carnival time, we can do that sign thing.
Yeah, I can put
That would
little
be
signs
good.
up there.
Because I don't think by water carnival, there's a lot of chance of getting an ordinance passed.
Permanents,
Yeah, good signs.
we'd have to order,
I have
we have to order signs and whatnot, but
I
the
got it.
main thing is, in order to have an enforceable ordinance, it needs to be passed properly and published.
Yeah.
So it takes time.
Okay, we'll wait on Flag Foot. Thanks for your input.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks, Al.
Thanks, Brandon. I'll look for you.
You'll be there.
I'll be there, the white truck.
Yeah, but he wants cookies.
Oh, well, I'll
Oh, if
keep
you
that
have
in mind
cookies.
too.
They'll stay overnight.
For my service before.
No. Okay, resolution 2128 is our EVAPCO agreement.
Yes, but we're still waiting for EVAPCO to have signed the agreement. I talked with Brent again today, and they've not received anything back as of mid-afternoon. We still haven't received it. And it would just be appropriate to table, consider it in 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, it'll be this and a building permit and a site plan and all of that.
Move on to contract with the Green Street Hill on the water main project.
Yes.
There's a typo on number 1. Well, that was just the letter. The original budgetary estimate was for April 2022.
That's the advance.
I don't approve.
That's the crystal ball.
Yeah, so this would just have have B&K perform the engineering on this and also does the construction services. So, just on the timing of the project, we look at this as a two-phase project. A small project to be done quickly, that they would have the plans done by July 16th for this first phase of the project. The first phase, just basically think of it as doing work on the EVAPCO property that will be covered up with concrete. So that work needs to be done quickly. It's a smaller project that would be bid out, but it would be bid out using a competitive quote process, not a formal bid. So it's small enough that it qualifies for that. Then we would have plans prepared on the big project, the mile worth of water line plans would be ready to go by October. We did that. potentially in November around there for a very early spring construction on the water. ZAPCO's been informed of time schedule on that, and everything's good with them. Because the other thing about this work, the first phase that we would do under the concrete there, it also connects to the existing 10-inch over at the existing plant. So they'll have water. They'll have water through their water mains. It just won't meet their fire suppression needs right away until the city gets this larger one installed.
And they understand that part.
Do we have any questions? I'll need a motion to approve that contract.
I'll make it.
Second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Thank you.
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Walton? Reese?
Yes.
Okay, we have, need to reappoint Derek and Lorraine to the library board. A motion to approve that appointment. Second? Second. Roll call.
Walton? Reese?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Okay, Outlet X, landing on East Shore.
Yeah, so that's on page 20. Is this document that I've been asked to sign that we acknowledge this and add to the value of that property. You want to talk through that a little bit, Dave, from where you're at?
Well, I was kind of surprised that they included the value of the streets and the easement.
Yeah, like.
We always agreed that we would assign a value to the wetland. And in my mind, that wouldn't be a lot of money, but the note came in, it was for $418,000. And I explained that a little bit in my memo. I think you attached that to the package. So I did a little research into that, and actually it's pretty common practice for developers to donate, quote unquote, the streets. And so with that in mind, that $418,000 becomes a little more palatable in my mind. The other side of the equation is I can't find anything that would subject the city to liability for just simply agreeing to that valuation. Even if we don't have to agree other than to say, yeah, if you want to, like I said in my memo, if you want to go ahead and put that in the tax return, have fun. But there can't be any, the tricky part about that is there can't be a quid pro quo, which in my mind, the development agreement in and of itself is quid pro quo. We will go this way, we will accept the streets that way, so it's not a charitable donation. But again, it's something that I don't think the city needs to worry about. I did ask Mr. Hadley, the attorney for Mr. Terrell, to give us a breakdown of how they were arriving at the evaluation, what the subparts, there must be subparts to it. But mostly interested in what they value that wetland was. And it's because to me, that's a true donative transaction. And I haven't heard back as of today, but then again, I just contacted whenever I wrote that memo, we got Friday or Thursday.
So are you recommending that we don't sign this until we get a breakdown of what we come up with cost?
I don't think there's any hurry to sign it. I mean, at the latest, they would need it by tax time, whatever their fiscal year is next year, but certainly, here we are in June, so July, August, September.
I think we should wait.
That's good, because on one side, the tournament's gonna be more, at least, we're putting the cart in front of the horse as far as I'm concerned. We need to make sure, at least we know what we're signing, otherwise it's not very good optics to sign something, or pass something that we don't really know how that number came to be.
So and the streets aren't there.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
Well, and that's the other thing that I pointed out, I think I put it in the memo, is you need to do this for donations over $500,000, you need a qualified appraisal, so I thought it was interesting that the appraisal request was for $418,000. So, yeah, I think we're not in any rush, let's just wait, let's have somebody convince us why that's a thing to do.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
As long as in the end, we're not liable for it. We're not liable if we sign it and it's screwed up, it's not our fault.
I couldn't find anything in the tax court or in the code or the the IRS code only applies to the person trying to take the claim. I've never heard of the IRS getting after goodwill or somebody because the shoes were only worth $10 and you took $50.
He's probably done this before.
I think it's pretty common practice. It's just we haven't seen it before.
Well, then we'll just wait. Okay, resolution 2129, wait, that says
The October
2037.
one.
And
Did I?
it would be,
2129.
it would need to update.
2037?
Just rehash it from last year, I just didn't update the number.
Oh.
Didn't change. Wow, a typo?
Yep.
Irregardless of that, I'd like to ask the council to consider Kay's wages at $21.50. Sac City just hired one that had no experience for $31. And I just think we ought to bump Kay up a little special. She does a lot that people don't know about. I think we ought to take that into consideration.
Lakeside just hired a city clerk with no experience for $20 an hour, so.
We pay the campground people.
Oh, there
more
you're
than we pay Kay.
overpaying.
I think that's wrong. I bet Kay would say that. I don't like to say that's
Not
why.
on camera.
Don't say a word.
Does anybody have any?
I don't have a problem with that, I'll make that motion.
Well, what we
Yeah,
need to
gotta do
do
all.
is fill up the resolution. And
Okay.
just a note on all the numbers that are filled in there are all of our folks who are covered by the collective bargaining agreement. Those are all put in there already, and that shows the 3% wage increase that was in the collective bargaining agreement. Also, Trent Iverson was just hired recently, and within Trent was hired at that $29, but within his hiring agreement, then it also stipulated he would be eligible for salary review next year.
So here we're made at 29.
Yeah, 29 is what it is right now, and he would remain there
For the next fiscal year.
for the next fiscal year.
Got it.
And Jeff, we just bumped you up here a while back, right? But you're still open to whatever.
Workload don't go away, so.
No, it doesn't. No.
Just with Jeff, Jeff was promoted to be our assistant utility superintendent, and with that, the increase in pay was $2. Okay. So, but that was promotion pay.
You'll still get the 3% is what the union got anyway, right? That's what everybody's gonna get. Anybody have any other changes for the blank?
So let me understand this, so the ones that are blank, then you're saying 3%?
Yeah, and I guess the other thing to point out, I left that as blank with Dean, but of course, Dean has been here just a matter of a few months also.
Well, I think Dean is still under probation,
Yeah.
so I would think his salary would stay what it is for now.
Yeah.
Is that the way we planned it, I thought?
Yeah, that's what we.
So, since it's blank and I didn't bring my stuff with me from the salary thing, so it's blank, you're adding a 3%? Is that our decision right now?
The decision for the council is fill in the blanks, as
Right.
far as what you would like that to be.
And if we follow the union scale like we did, it's 3%?
It's 3%, yeah.
So that would be Jeff, Scott, and Brandon.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm okay with that.
And K at 2150? Everybody's okay with those numbers? Now we'll take the motion, Wade.
Make a motion, I will accept the offer or the raise.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bolton?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Okay, city
And
administrator.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank everyone.
No, thank you.
So, so with that, now find a solution for Crescent Park Drive drainage.
Yeah, you. Oh, no.
No, I'm
No,
horseshoe.
he's parked,
I'm
he's
okay.
parked.
Horseshoe.
He's
Good
horseshoe.
I'm walking.
Those two, that guy is Crescent Park Drive.
Yeah.
I
Look
assume
into it.
since there's electrical out there, Jeff will have to be a part of the decision.
Yeah, we've discussed it. Yeah, it's tough.
Well, when you look at the road from the hill, you know, it tips towards the cabins, I mean, the lakeside. So, you know,
And I kinda agree with Dean. I don't understand why, like Leonard's, shouldn't have tipped down a little before it comes down, like we make everybody do over on the east side of the lake. You know, so have it so when it comes off the street, it's tipped down towards their house a little bit, so it keeps it.
Then it'll run
Instead
down
of
that
ain't
little
running
ditch.
down the street or across the street, it would stay on that side of the road.
Cause he's gonna shoot across that road.
Isn't there a city right away though, somewhere in there?
well, yeah,
Yeah,
there
there
is.
is.
Is there just 6 feet? How much do we have there?
I do not know, it's a standard right of way there, and usually standard would be somewhere around 10 feet.
That's what I thought, yeah.
But you just
So
seeing
can
the
be
wa-
something done in that 10 feet, or are you saying it has to
If
go
he
back?
dug a little deeper ditch, it starts before Leonard's driveway up there. And
Exactly.
so you would have to make them change their driveway.
It's pretty much up to Beck, all the way up to Beck.
Yeah, up to Beck.
It's all the way to Beckman's.
Yes.
But if you did it, I don't understand, cause I'm not an engineer, so if you dig it out and you make a ditch,
Mhm.
why do they have to change their driveway? Can't there be a
It'll
culvert?
run right into the, well, if you put a culvert underneath it, but then you gotta cut their driveway out anyway. You put that culvert in there.
But we're gonna need to cut all the way to Horseshoe, remember that, they got too much dirt right by the
Yeah.
road, we gotta cut way back to.
Yeah.
Cause one of these days it's gonna rain.
Whatever he does,
So what is our plan here then? Is it that we need to meet with those property owners and?
I think it
think
sure
you
would
should.
work to get the
Correct.
property owners involved and let them know what's going on.
It's gotta go to the other side of the.
Have good communication that way.
That would be really good.
No,
Because
Because it's
somebody
uphill.
ought to spit on me.
it's gonna run downhill. You gotta get it to where it comes down the hill where it's probably gonna stop, where you make it stop.
So how are you gonna make it stop? I
You
mean,
can't.
they're sitting way back, I mean, these houses are back.
Yeah.
So when you say the water needs to stay on their property, how are you going to do
No,
that?
she was asking
I was
if you put
asking
a
if you
drain.
could put a drain or a beehive or some sort of something
But
where
it's
it
gotta-
catch the water.
You could do that right in front of their driveway on that one side.
On the
Take and make a ditch,
lakeside?
then, yeah, but then you gotta go on, have something go underneath the driveway, which you'd have to cut the driveway out, tile it, unless you have somebody bore it.
I was gonna say, we bore all the time, why would we have to take the driveway out?
That's a,
You'd have a big, huge tile.
Instead of just a little conduit, you have a.
Yeah,
So it would cost a lot.
costs quite a bit. I'm guessing I've never,
replacing that piece of,
what's that?
that'd probably cost more than replacing that piece of concrete.
Yeah.
You mean the driveway?
The driveway. But it's the same thing, like we said, you know, just learning the ordinances and stuff, you're supposed to have when it comes up, there's no curb, you're supposed to have it slope back away, and theirs isn't. They're just straight down.
Would that have made a difference?
We gotta do something before an Icorn puts their driveway in.
Correct.
Well,
That's gonna be the
is that something that should have been caught then when we gave the permit?
Well, you know, that's really tough to do. You can't really lay that on that building inspector, because what does he know about I mean, none of the building inspectors we've ever had have looked at the water. All they've looked at is pretty much the setbacks, as far as I know.
And that's the wrong part of it.
And to ask them to have to, we won't be able to find anybody.
Yeah.
So the water issue, to me, I would think it would be the contractor. I mean, I know that my contractor knew exactly how the water was gonna run. And he was
Correct.
exactly right, that
Correct.
didn't help, but, I mean, well, I didn't have water in my basement. He knew exactly how it was gonna go. So, do we need to have the contractor more involved in that discussion, because I'm sure the, you know, the property owner just fills out the permit and contractor probably doesn't even look at it.
I think it's the same contractor that built your house, building nice one.
Right.
Right, yeah.
So he should know.
Well, yeah, but he's gonna know how to get it to the street.
Well, and it's gonna be a steep slope, I can tell you that.
Well, I think we have to have an idea what we're gonna do, and then have a meeting with everybody.
Correct.
Well, so we gotta have some sort of plan when we meet with them. This is what we think we'll do. It'll have to be next week,
Yeah, that's what it's at.
right?
Well, I'm gonna be gone for a while.
Well, lucky you. So you're gonna come up with what you think we need to address? I mean, I guess I'm trying to figure out what the plan is.
It's gonna have, you're gonna have to dig some sort of ditch on that side of the road.
But
Put a
you're,
berm up, like a terrace.
Yep, but
It's
that's,
still gonna run down.
Same
the road.
it's gonna run down the,
Yeah.
It won't have as much force probably if
Yeah.
you do that.
and you can see where the rain comes right down their driveway and
Oh, I
right
see.
across.
Yep.
You know, if it was like grass or something, it wouldn't have the force that it comes down,
I
it
hate that,
slow
I hate
way
to have
down.
that driveway in the wintertime.
Well, if you guys come up with a plan, then we'll have a meeting with the homeowners next
Yeah,
week.
but let me,
Thank you. Okay, we have a city administrator report?
Yeah, a couple things, just, first thing would be a little update on the lagoon. I think I'll defer to Dean on that then too, where we got on the lagoon.
They were out there and they, put in a couple blockers, I think we talked about that last time, put in a couple blockers. The holes that we drilled 2 more holes from that one that we've been looking at, that filled up. On either side we drilled, and so the one that was holding water again, or still I guess, total coliform was 2,755, E. coli was 118.75. The one right next to it to the east was 24,196, and E. coli was 20.05. So it was actually higher, and it's only a couple feet away. Also took a sample out of the manhole. Total coliform was 2.0, E. coli was 1.0, so there wasn't much at all in that manhole.
that manhole. What we're able to do is, of course, we're filling up the lagoons right now, so there is no effluent come out of the plant right now. So this tile that he talks about comes into this manhole, and during any normal time, it's mixing with sewage, or effluent sewage, so you couldn't really get a reading about the groundwater that comes through this tile, or the water coming through the tile. So that's what we did. Well, we had a chance here, took a sample of that tile water. And so I guess that's maybe a little positive. I mean, it's not high in E. coli for that water coming from that tile.
Today they put in the air lines, put them back in, and started them back up.
For the Seeger system?
Yes, the aeration.
In the lagoon.
In
Put
the cell
aeration
one.
back into the lagoon.
And then they, we're waiting till it gets full, which might be Wednesday, and then we can start the effluent back up, start dumping it back through the system, through the Sagers.
So are you expecting the numbers then to go up in this manhole? I thought you just said that.
Well,
No,
this was
but-
the only opportunity we'll have to test it. We won't
Yeah.
have another opportunity.
Yeah.
So we think the leak is from the tile. Is that the gist of this? We don't know.
I think that it was coming around through the tile and then coming up. Then once they got those blockers in around that manhole, that water started going down in that. I mean, it's not completely gone, but it started going down in that hole. So, I mean, we've all been out there and it's level full and kind of seeping down. Now it's, of course, it's been dry, hot and dry, but there's probably only that much left in that hole. that's just
Time will tell.
correct.
Couple other things for you, just to update about the lake and the application of the aquatic herbicide, and that's gonna take place tomorrow. We're going to apply the herbicide tomorrow. Vegetation in the lake is still not a big problem. So, what we're going to do is apply half of the amount of the chemical that we purchased. So they'll do the entire perimeter of the lake, the same areas that they would have before, but it's only one pass wide instead of two passes wide. So figure from the end of the docks out about 75 feet instead of 150 feet. So they'll do that, and then we'll take about half the chemical. We will reserve then the other half of the chemical and likely do the same thing again next year. So the cost this year, including chemical, our contract cost is $22,300. We won't purchase chemical next year, and the application cost is proposed to be about $3,500. And the DNR was certainly on board with that. That's their idea about how we should proceed. All right. Couple things, yeah, that I plan to attend the Iowa City Management Conference, which is in July 14th through 16th. That's in Burlington. And plan to take a few days of vacation, so I would be gone Wednesday through Monday. Okay, I'll be around now. But, take a few days.
Why is it that you want to take time off your death?
So nothing conflicts with city council?
There was a lot of conflict.
Now what's that?
When you usually gone very far, I mean, you're here, but you're not working that week of time prior to.
That conference is off.
That conference is usually always at that.
Yeah. That's it for me.
Motion to adjourn? Second?
I'll second.
Be adjourned. Thank you.
Still around.
Yeah, we can harass them all we want.
Yeah. You know it.
Somebody else.
So we can we do something different? Can we do something different? I mean, if Green's not gonna do it, we'll do something.
Somebody else give us a price.
Pardon me? Yeah.
I did
Done.
I did a calculation on it, using their square footage for what they pay.
Oh, yeah.
Square foot on my restaurant. And that's why it came out to be like 23,000.
Right now?
Yeah. So it comes out.
It's probably more, I have no idea.
Yeah, it sounds like we got some movement on it.
I don't know.
We didn't.
It's actually a little bit moving, but I don't think it's
I don't think it's that.
No.